Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to cover the PAND, which is the percentage of all non-overlapping data, and the IRD, which is the improvement rate differences, both of which are discussed by Parker. You can also see a discussion of it in the Auerbach and Zeitlin text, SSDforR, an R package for analyzing single subject data. The PAND uses a ratio based upon non-overlapping of data between phases, and it uses all available data from both phases to correctly calculate the PAND. You need to draw a reference line in the past to identify the minimum number of data points needed to eliminate overlap between baseline and intervention. In version 1.59 and above of SSDforR, that's no longer necessary. The IRD, the improvement rate difference, you need to also identify the smallest number of data points that would be needed to be removed in order to eliminate all overlap or ties between phases. So the problem with the IRD is, unlike other non-overlapping calculations of effect size, you can have multiple solutions, and users of this function, you would need to select a solution that removes the fewest data points in order to remove overlap between phases. Now, in this new version, that's done automatically for you, and so that's I think a big improvement in SSDforR. So let me demonstrate how you would do that. So let me open up SSDforR, or load it, and I'm going to load it here, and now I'm going to use the get CSV function, which is described in the Auerbach and Zeitlin text, and it's going to open up a CSV file that I created in Excel, which I have on my desktop in a directory folder called SSDforR, and it's Jenny AB, and you could download that file from our website. So after you load it, you have to attach it. Again, you would type in attach SSD, and that's also covered in the text, opening files and how to create them in SSDforR, and there are some videos on that on our website. Okay, so now let's take a look at the file. I'm going to click on it here, and I'm concerned with this yelling behavior. I want to see if the intervention has had a positive effect or not. So we have two columns, yell and PL, and yell would be the behavior, and PL would be what phase the behavior was measured in, and we have 33 data points. Now, there are a couple of things about these two procedures. One good thing is that variation between phases is not a problem, or quality of variance is not necessary, and neither is autocorrelation. A trend could be a problem. The other issue is that you need to have at least 20 cases, so that it doesn't work well if you have few cases. So you would need, a fairly large number of observations. So let me show you how this will be done. The next step is just to decide whether or not you want the behavior to go up or down. So in terms of yelling, you probably want it to go down. So there are two functions, the PND below and the PND above. So let's start with the PND. So clearly we wanted to go below, so I'm going to select PND below, and type in yel, PL, so the behavior variable. And because you can use this to compare multiple phases, you need to type in what phases you want to compare. In this case, it's an A-B design, and we're just going to compare A to B. But if you had a B1 or an A1, you'd be able to make multiple comparisons. Okay, so let's see what happens. All right, so here we get an estimate of 0.90, and we have a key down here which indicates that it's very effective, which is showing that our intervention is having its desired effect. So now, and also you notice in the graph window or pane, the plots pane, it draws a graph of the baseline and intervention, and you could go ahead and label that if you wanted to by using AB lines, for example, if you wanted to draw a line between the phases. And you would type in the behavior variable, yel, and draw the line right about here. And you could use the AB text if you wanted to, draw, indicate where A and B is. You can also look at how that's done in our text. But it also draws a minimum line here. And you can see, if you wanted to calculate it by hand, you could see what the overlap is like. Actually, this example is discussed in the 2014 text, where you had to input the amount of overlap. All right, so let's try the IRD then. So the syntax is very similar, it's just IRD, and we want to go below. And this again, yel, PL, A, and then capital B. And again, you could use it across phases. And here again, it looks, the graph looks similar because I'm showing you what the minimum is in the baseline. Actually, I'm just adding 0.1 to it, a tenth of a point. And here we have a value of 81%, which is showing that it is certainly effective. So if you wanted to do some more reading on this, you could certainly refer to our text. And also, there's a discussion of the IRD in the 6th edition of the Blum, Fisher, and Orm text evaluating practice, guidelines for the accountable professional. Also, you could refer to Parker's work on the PND and the IRD. And again, with this graph, you could annotate it, you could draw a line, you could use the AB text to indicate A and B phases, and that's all covered in our text, the 2014 text. Okay, so we see this as a big improvement over the original version of calculating the PND and the IRD. Thank you.